first year when I started my business, I didn't get a project. I got 17 projects in my second year of business.
What is the water business?
We feel that okay, when we open the tap, that water comes in. That wow, how this water is coming? We use the loo, we use the washroom, we it and we flush it. Where is that water going? My name is Manish Khandelwal, and I'm founder of BMRV Engineering Consultants. Basically, our organization is a company which works into environmental sector as a consulting organization, which is delivering work to the state governments. There is a huge gap when we see that there are a lot of engineering organizations who are doing a lot of engineering works for the government sector. Whereas there are a lot of KPMG and Big Fours who are more and majorly into transition advisory. What we wanted to do is to bring the engineering economics into a same platform and bring this solution to the state government, which is lacking for sure in India. Frankly, I come from a very humble background. I don't have any business fraternity in my family. Is this a test that God is taking, that does he really want me to go out and back to the job, or does he just trying to pull me?
What is it that we should know about water treatment? What is the project? Why does it take 35 crores to set up a water treatment project? Like, what is happening?
So first,
Some big words in that whole definition of yours. Engineering is a big word to start with. Like saying we are engineering solutions is I can engineer a wheel. Then what do you mean by engineering solutions, and how are you a backbone to the government?
we are not purely a engineering per se organization or engineering per se sector. Engineering is always contracts. When you talk about the state government, it is all about tendering, contracts, what L&T do, what Reliance do, what Adani do, Shapoorji, Simplex, whatever big organization. They are basically the contract organization. They are into tendering business. And when they basically submit the bid, so they are bidding on some kind of facts, stats, which is being provided by the state governments. So what happens that many times we used to come and say that okay, state government are not doing the detailed engineering while preparing a RFP or a contract, and so we get puzzled at time of bidding, and eventually there are a lot of litigation and fights between the government and contractors. Okay, this was not written at that time. This was not the correct information. Whereas it happens in all the sectors. Like you talk about bridges, road, highways, transportation, water, electricity. So this is the gap where we come in and fill in, that we are being appointed by the state governments to do the due diligence on their behalf, to prepare detailed project reports, and then prepare the tender and contract business. So that's how the big organization, large infrastructure, large water treatment organization come and submit their tenders for that. So that's how this is the engineering come contracts kind of a thing.
Just before we get into this whole thing, let's hear about who is Manish. Where does Manish come from, and what is the background that Manish has had that has led him to get to this point?
Actually, the start of my journey into this sector is very, very it's very funny actually. Frankly, I come from a very humble background. I don't have any business fraternity in my family, nobody rather. And I joined Thapar Engineering College, and as a thinking that okay, this is just a wish of my father and mother, so I'll do the civil engineering. I'm basically a civil engineer, and I always wanted to do the aerospace. So I, kind of any misuse there, like, okay, I don't want to study now, that, okay, I'll get into the aerospace, I'll do the crack the GRA and go to MES. So I was always wanted that. And rather, I did something in college as well for my dreams. Like I went to NASA. And we won basically a competition name as International Space Civil Design Competition. So it rather made my thoughts more concrete that okay, I have to go into aerospace and not study at civil. Was rather getting the more you can say the glue. So what happened that just after this college, like everybody, like I was also getting got few job calls, And the only criteria which I had was like, I should have Saturday, Sunday off, and it should be in Gurgaon, and there should be this plus salary CTC. So frankly, this was the only thing how I entered into water treatment business. Rather, I was literally shocked when I entered into my first company was Degremo. It's a subsidiary of Suez. Suez is India's and world's biggest water treatment organization. And I was shocked. Like, I have never seen their water bottles. I'm like, and rather my father used to say, yeah, Bisleri dekha hai, whatever we have seen Kinley, but we have not seen your company's water bottle. And that time I understood that they are not into water bottling, rather they are providing water to the complete city. Then doing, complete water solution for complete Australia, complete India, and that kind of level they are. And eventually, obviously, I rather I would say that my life's journey, professional life journey was also very nice, and it was blessed. Like this is the right thing which I feel that it should happen to anyone. This is my obviously it is my thought that one should enter into the most organized organization once he starts a professional journey, because that is the habit he gets into it, and then eventually you can obviously then my second company was there was an organization in India which came in and they wanted a few good organization people, like the biggest top 10 organization team who can come in that as a core team, and they should be able to revive that organization. So what they did is they wanted to build a water portfolio which was maybe the biggest in India, and they were able to infuse $2 billion rupees, and there were a lot of hopes behind that. There were a lot of they were having too much of money behind their private equities. So we went to an organization from the biggest of India to the smallest, which was a cash crisis. They were technically correct, but they were having a lot of money crisis. So that dip, and there are a lot of hiccups which comes in professional journey. So yeah, that was, I think, eventually it made me more stronger to get into it. And eventually, I think, I started my business journey in 2013 actually. So what happened that I thought, I'm doing amazingly well in my first organization. Then I went to a private equity. I did well. I bought companies for them rather, I was like feeling very proud in myself. So I started my organization in 2013. At slightly, I tell you, the person as me that I used to be sales and business development manager kind of person, and I used to get almost 10-11 projects in a year, and that was very very remarkable. Everybody knew in the country that okay, this person did, because my sector is a very small sector. Water treatment sector is a very small niche. Everyone knows everyone. I didn't get a project in a single year. The first year when I started my business, I didn't get a project. I didn't have an employee, and I thought, at least I'll crack some project, then only add somebody, because that is the only thing which I can do best. If this is not happening with me, then I think what else I can do? I mean, so journey has been amazing in this sense. So failure has been the biggest, push to yourself that okay, it is pushing you always that this can also happen, and life is a circle; it will come back again. So that was the first year, and then I got 17 projects in my second year of business. Around 16, 17, I was full of business. I was totally occupied, and I was lot of work was going on. Suddenly, God, told me that okay, don't become a hero, and stay calm. And maybe that was the thing which got into my head that okay, I am, So in 2014, last kind of a thing, I got a news from my wife that okay, we are hoping to have some good time very soon. So my wife was expecting, and I was expecting twins. So that was again a little good and tougher time, because I live in Gurgaon actually. And the first few projects which I got in my business journey in 2014 or 2013 end rather, It was somewhere around 2 hour journey. It is somewhere middle of Delhi to Jaipur, Bhiwadi. So I used to go to Bhiwadi with a car, and then I used to go to Sona. That there is a highway another 1.5 year of 1.5 hours. Then I used to go to Faridabad, and from Faridabad I used to come back to my home. This was the day, every day which I used to spend when I was in Delhi. Otherwise, I used to travel by car to Jhansi, Delhi, used to a lot of other places. So it was, frankly, but the business is good, but I would say that the first generation business is very tough. It's very, very tough. The difficult part is like you have to motivate yourself. I think I think it is good that you're two, because when you're alone, it is very, very tough. You have to speak in the mirror and you have to motivate yourself. You cannot. It's like just I compare sometime any myself or any entrepreneur to be like a model. Uh, when there is a fashion show, or then there's a ramp walk which is starting, so it is a show time. So when you see that Bollywood movie, that fashion, you wipe off your tears and you just, when you walk off the ramps, that is the show time. So when you enter that office, you cannot say that, okay, I'm little demotivated today, and okay, I'm sad today, I'm tired today. You cannot say anything. It is like when you're walking, then people should say, okay, sir is here, so he'll solve everything. So that is the confidence that team should have, and then only team can succeed. So what happened in 2015, when my kids were there in our life, and so I decided to quit the business. I thought, I think it's over. I don't want to. I wanted to show myself that I can do it, so I did it, and it's over for now. I went to my mentor. Actually, when in Degremo, when I joined as a GET graduate trainee, the CEO of Degremo Suez, he is the one of the biggest man in water industry. Somehow, he and I got very cordial relation in the first 2 months itself. And obviously, till date, he's like my guru, and now he's like just like a family member to me. But in those days, then I just called him, sir, that I'm literally, I'm doing well, but I don't know to do it. He said, what happened? So I was like, sir, this is happening. There are too much of turbulence. I don't want my kids to go through that. And now, no, I did not, uh, willingly or not willingly, but I was just, traveling too much. I could not spend any single day with my wife when she was going through so much. And, there are a lot of emotional things happening in your mind. So I said, sir, I don't know how to do it. So he said, okay, bite up the whole business and come back after 1 month. And if you are still on the same page, then we don't need not, do any interview kind of thing. I know you, and just meet the country head. I tell him and be on. That's how I came back to the job again in 2015, and or rather 2016. So this is 2nd January 2016. This is the day I think I have told at least more than 100 or maybe 1,000 people in my life. See, I'll tell you, kind of cleared all my business thing. I given some part to someone, some to some other, and said I don't want any profit out of it. Okay, man, you guys do it. I don't want to do it. So that day I was about to meet the country head of this organization. I was carrying my resume, I was carrying my bag, and I was like about to leave for the dressed up like good boy and thing. Okay, I have to be on the best test on the day one kind of situation. I got a message, okay, ding dong, this much of money has been deposited in your account. And then I got a call, Manish ji, that site is clear now. You can start the next project. I was like, what is this? Then after 2 minutes from the second project, I got again 3-4 lakh rupees or something like that. And then he called me that, okay, sir, that site is also cleared, and please start engineering works. Then after just, I mean, at least 3-4 bank transaction happened in just 1 or 2 minutes, and everybody called that you need to start the work. And as I told you, if you remember that when I started my business, I did not get a project in a first year. So in that, the first project which I submitted as a bid, that person called me after 1.5 years that Manishji, your work has paid off. Now you are getting that project, which is like one of the biggest project for any startup kind of a thing. And I was like, what? He was like, you are getting some project in Jaipur Development Authority, and that is somewhere around 4 CR or 4.5 CR. And I was totally lost. I was like, what to do now? I mean, then I, just started talking to my wife. Is this a test that, God is taking that, does he really want me to go and back to job, or does he, just trying to pull me that, okay, don't want to go to job, or is he testing my patience? I was like, no, he's just testing my patience. So I have to stick to my words, whatever I say. I had to think about my family first, and then and in next 5 minutes I called a lot of people who were involved in my those kind of projects, and I said, okay, you take this project, you take this project, you take this project, you take this project. I'm transferring this money which has come to me to you, and I don't need any profit as well. So I mean, it has to be fair call, because I'm saying that I'm going out and you just do that. So I am basically get into the job again. And as I told you, God has always kind on me, very, very kind. So this was also a, trick by him that, okay, if I get into the job part. So because when I entered the job, I became the one of the full-time directors for our organization, which is the first project run by a Namami Gange program, which is the Prime Minister constituency Varanasi. If you remember, there was a sewage treatment plant which has been built on hybrid annuity PPP model. So it is the first project in India, and I became the full-time director for that. And when I did it for 2 years, almost 2000 till 2018. So frankly, I was so much, frankly, I would say the levels which has I have been, grown, it was multiple folds. And 2018, then, maybe it was some all planned like thing for me by someone, I don't know. I was working with SL Infra. SL was having a very, very bad time. That time ILFS also fallen off, crashed, market was crashing. So SL Infra wing crashed actually. And we were like, what to do now? So, slowly and steadily, obviously, are going to lay off everyone. And suddenly, one of my college friend called me from Jammu. So he was like, you are in water business. One of my family connect. He's into this blah 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 department, and he needs some advisory from some water guy. So can you come down to Jammu? And I was like, okay, let me come, and I'll just see what happens. I went, I discussed, and they offered me a project that why don't you be consultant? Why don't you be consultant to us? I was like, okay, but how do I do? Basically, I am into a job, and which is obviously I knew that by January I was going to go off the radar from the SL infra, because SL was crashing. Everyone knew that. So I came back. I discussed with few of my friends, because this time I was very, very clear that I don't want to do this work alone. I don't want to, because it is work is not tough. Hard work is not tough. It is more like I again tell myself that the motivating myself is the toughest part, because first I have to motivate myself, then I have to motivate people, then I have to motivate client. But am I a motivational guru? Well, so this cannot happen. Eventually, I had to work as well. So I came back. I talked to 3-4 of my friends. That's how BMRV is that name it also. So I said that, okay, I'm thinking to do this thing. So can you be part of it? And we discussed. So this way or that way, basically all said yes, but few of the, everyone cannot start a business at any point of time, because eventually people need money to live. I was still a risk taker, so I said no, I'll take a risk. So, but it was not happening, or it is not same with everyone. Everyone have a family, everyone have a at least minimum need that okay, this is the X amount, person has to have it in their life. So this is how BMRV started, and when BMRV started in 2019 January, within next 1 month we got 10 more projects for some more, and that's how BMRV started.
So many questions. We have the timeline down. Let's start with the most basic one. Why? Why does someone doing engineering who does not come from a business background, does not have that inspirational mentor on top of them, he made it, I'll make it, Why does this guy firstly take the leap and get into business in the first place?
See, actually, what happens? It's not just me, because I've seen few others as well. Like when you are into a job, there are two three kind of people. One is like they are very very successful as a uh, employees, and they are like 9 to 7 person. They come at 9, they leave at 7. They don't go for multiple breaks. They are very very hard work. Whatever is given to them, that they finish it off, and that is the. It is all about liking. It is all about the what you want actually. Uh I was since day one actually. It is not like that telling you this because I know that people tell me this, that I am always in a kind of outlaw guy kind of a person, that there are no rule kind of a thing for me, that I don't like people telling me that okay, this is the rule, you have to come this time, that time you have to do like this is the policy, this is not the policy. It is not like that. So we have to be very, very transparent to yourself that when you are in job, then what kind of a person you want to be. See, if you want to be successful, then you have to be very, very mature, and you should be having good behavior, because that is how there is a saturation kind of things. There has to be some kind of uh, satisfaction in the sense, if you are satisfied with what you are doing, in a sense that is, how do I say, means you feel full, that okay, I'm done for the day, this is fine, then obviously you can continue with the job in a successful manner. Whereas my kind of person always had, and I like to do this thing, that thing, X thing, Y thing, this is in the policy or not, I don't care. So you need some mentor, or you need a boss who would, listen to you. And I was lucky enough that, since Degram, or since my first job, I had the same boss all my life. And I was given freedom because I was with the same CEO all the time. So, but what happened with that? Eventually, you know, uh, you also get into a frame where you feel that, okay, no, you are the boss now, you can do anything. So maybe to challenge yourself, maybe once I started my job, it is more like that, it is challenging myself. I said, I have learned the system from the best company. I work for an organization who is into money crisis but technically rich. Then I joined a startup in India, and I bought 13 projects for them in a year. So basically, I did it when time was good. I did it when money was not there. I did it when there was a first organization was started. So this three combination is needed when I need to start my own business. And when I started my own business, I failed frankly for first year. I submitted 4 bids. I failed. There are a lot of technical thing also which I can tell you, and it can make you happy if you would have been from the water treatment sector and not till that complete first year detailing. But yes, that first year was very, very tough in the sense because I did whatever I could do. Means all the permutation combination I did, and the most important part which I feel in the first year, that people reciprocated on my thought. Why I'll tell you. See, when I started this business, first business, 2013, see, contract business needs a lot of hard cash. It's not very simplified, easy. And if I'm thinking, for example, if even if to bid into a 10 crore project or 20 crore project, so generally the working capital is somewhere around 30-35%. And frankly, I had nothing that time. I was having just, frankly, I'll be very blunt on 5 to 10 lakh maximum. And I went to few people. I said that, okay, I can get this project, I can deliver this project. So can we have a consortium where you put in money, you take all the first hand money, and I'll take some margin. You put that margin as a minimalistic, whatever you want. But can you believe in me? So that is the bestest part which has happened to me in the first year, that people started believing in me. It's tough because when you are an organization, people feel that the organization is behind you. When you are an individual, it's a very, very, very different proposition. Nobody gives you money. Nobody. Whatever business you are into, whatever good you are, but for somebody to come and say that, okay, I'll put money on to you. So then obviously that is the best part. So, yeah. So, to prove myself, that was the first thing. And then first inning was success. I had a successful time, as I told you. I left on a high when, I, got into the job again in 2016. But in 2018, it was like, because what is happening, that wherever you go, whatever big organization you go, they give you got a lot of good promises that we are going to do this thing, that thing, XYZ. But however, they have their own, mindset, agenda, and future, what pipelines or the routes, how they are going to, they are thinking that, okay, I want this as my future. Every organization have their different roles and thoughts, and their promoters or the directors, the kind, it all depends from where you are getting funds, from what kind of directors you are enrolling, what kind of 5-year future plan they have, what kind of thoughts you have. So you have something different, we have something different. And I never worked as a employee kind of. I always wanted to work as a, rather I will not name, but I have multiple times I invested money into my own company. We will hear this thing very, very rare, but I invested 3-4 times in my own organization, which was MNC. I said I rather borrowed money from the market and the friends, and you can say FFF, and then I invested almost 50 lakhs once a time. That, okay, that company needs to run, I'll put in money, don't worry. So that way, so eventually that in 2018, it was more like, I was getting opportunity. I was like, we'll see what happens, but let me do this again. Because I have some friends with me who can at least support me. I was like, I'll do whatever is required. You just be with me when I need to discuss something with you. I need not nothing. I don't, I need nothing from you. Let us sit together, and whenever I cry, so you should be there. So, okay, let's say cheers. So this is what I want.
So you basically created yourself your own little support group.
Yeah, I think rather they are very they were all, see, I, as I told you, that those people have always around me. It was not like those people were not with me. They've always been with me, but they were not. Now they had some kind of commitment that, okay, we have committed Manish that we'll help him at least in motivation, helping or downtime. At least we'll speak to him. I'll be there. Don't worry, kind of.
So talk us through getting that first project. You say the first year you were in business, that you got zero projects. You bid for 4, you got zero. What was the process that took you to your first project and then 13 in the following year? I mean, in the year that followed.
Actually, what happened that for first year, when I started, obviously there were 2, 3, 4 projects. I tried my best, whatever I could, and I was not able to get it. So a little sad. I was with one of my college friend. My college has been always my bestest of uh, time, and I think it is all, the source of energy in my life is my college factory. Maybe eventually I'll tell you that also how. So what happened that year in 2013, I met one of my friend, Rahul, and his father is into bridges and roads, and kind of, he used to be a very, very good contracting organization. So I was at his house, and I was little, morale was down. I was just speaking low. So uncle came to me and said, "What happened?" I was like, "Uncle, I'm not able to click anything, and I'm literally tired." So he was like, actually, he was talking from his own feet. So he was like, "Why do you forget that you are also civil engineer? You are not just a water environment guy. Why are you just thinking the same line? Now you're a businessman. You have anything in your hand or not, but at least now you're a businessman." So I was like, then what to do? He was like, look for the projects in roads or civil construction side, PWD kind of projects, infrastructure projects, small projects. I was like, "Uncle, I know nothing in this." He was like, "Don't worry, I will just start searching in newspaper. There are a lot of projects which comes in. There are portals, there are contract portals. So you start looking." So we found one day one project, and he said that, let's do this thing together. I was like, "Uncle, it will be very nice if you are together with me, because I know nothing about actually civil thing. I studied zero, and I know a little bit of whatever XYZ things, but I eventually, if you tell me that, okay, go on the side and get this thing done, it will be little difficult and tricky for me." And he was like, "Don't worry, I'll be with you, and at least on mentor part, or at least I'll tell you on your first project. Don't." We were like just family, so he was kind to me. So we went to Chandigarh. We met one of the contracting organization who was eligible for bidding into this, and they were kind of a very junior to uncle. So they accepted the request of uncle to allow me to be their back to back contractor. So we got that project, and what happened that I will tell you that now PWS, I put in the X rates. PWD said that you have submitted an excess rate and we cannot allot you this contract. So for a week, I was like hellbent that okay, I'll do work on this project only, this rate. So now what happened? This was again a very strong vicious circle. That client PWD called the contractor. That tier submitted the bid. Now your back-to-back contractor is saying that I will not do it. Now this is not done. This is a very, very prestigious project. You have to do this. So this contractor said, "Manish, this is not done. So you have to do this project on whatever case it may be." I was like, "What is this? I cannot go beyond a price." And I came back to uncle again. "Uncle, what to do now?" I said, "See, I cannot do this thing beyond it, because he's 60, 65. He was like, "See, I can only be mentor. And if you tell me that come to me with site, it cannot happen. I can only teach you how to do it." And I said, "Uncle, now what to do?" He said, "Don't take this project." I said, "But they are pressurizing me, and I am also into crisis. I don't know what to do." He said, "You'll lose money." Then I sat with him in the evening and said, "Uncle, what if I, engage, if I go to site every day?" He said, "Okay, then you will not lose money." I said, "Okay, if I will not hire any site manager or something, I'll be site manager myself." Then provision came to that, okay, you will earn maybe 3 lakhs or 2 lakh rupees out of 1 or 1.5 crore project. I said, okay, then how much tenure would it would be? It was like 7 or 8. I said, okay, so this means it is somewhere 20,000 per month. He was like, yes. And he was actually laughing. So I said, "Uncle, at this stage, frankly, the 20,000 per month is also fine with me, because I'm having nothing." So this was a very, very emotional time for me as well, because I could not tell my wife that, okay, I was already having 2 lakh rupee per month job, that time. And she was like, "Yeah, 20,000 a month, and that too when you're driving 200 kilometers a day, are you a taxi wala or what?" So, I mean, that was the first project thing. So, well, it clicked. I went, and as I told you, God has always been kind on me, and so all the clients became my friends. So I got 3 projects from them. Then and there, means I started it just after 2 to 3 months. I got 2 or 3 projects with them almost. Yeah, and I in one of the project I was I was the appointed contractor. above Goward construction. So that is a big construction firm in the India. So
let's let's remove the clouds from this word project. The word project is being used a lot. What exactly is a project, and what do you think do we not know about water treatment? Like, I feel like there are so many things which we take for granted, right? Water treatment is almost certainly one of those things. So what is it that we should know about water treatment? What is a project? Why does it take 35 crores to set up a water treatment project? Like, what is happening?
so first, my first inning project was means the construction site. That is entirely different, which I told you right, the road and now when I talk about consulting, consulting means consulting assignment. For me, the consulting assignment project means that I have to prepare the detailed project reports. I had to prepare the feasibility report. I had to prepare the financial books, and then I had to prepare the tender contract documents. So this is the kind of a project for me. However, the contracts what we are preparing, the big contracting organization like when I talk about Wabag, they are listed organization, Iron Exchange, and L&T and Reliance. So they basically bid into these kind of assignments which are called projects, and basically they have to execute. They are the construction companies, and they do the engineering, procurement, and construction part. So basically, they do the civil thing, they do the electromechanical part, they do the commissioning, and basically uh, they are basically building from the scratch. From then they'll be given just a ground, and they'll be building a plant on that apps which will be treating water or wastewater as per the given work to that. So this is this, and 35 crores is a very very small amount. It goes to thousands of crores now easily. And for the water side, water, what you should know actually, that water is kind of a you know thing which we feel that it's one of the biggest business. Rather, I would rather telling you very easy thing that water is a kind of never ending business. It has always been there. It is just like people think that from the current government, okay, Namami Gange happened, or XYZ Jal Jeevan Mission scheme has happened, but these has always been there. Earlier, the different government named it differently now, but yes, that is for sure that current government is publicizing it very heavily, so it is giving a lot of highlight. However, water has always been there, so water business is nice in that terms.
What is the water business?
What is the water business? See, water business comprises of multiple facets. For us, the local people like who are into just directly. So basically, we feel that okay, when we open the tap, that water comes in. That wow, how this water is coming? We use the loo, we use the washroom, we it, and we flush it. Where is that water going? So the city level, the government of that state, example, if we are living in Delhi, so Delhi government is taking care of two aspects. One, that they are taking care of that every household have the sufficient amount of drinkable potable water. So there is a huge plants which are being built, and I frankly tell you that in earlier days there was a plant which was being built in Mumbai that was of capacity of 990 million liter per day, and its first phase was 1000 million liter per day. So eventually 2000 million liter per day. That kind of plant could give complete Australia water requirement in single shot. So that kind of population, see, we are into a big population. So water business is because, big because of that only. Water is like how it is being dependent. See, it is dependent on that how many people do you have, because that is the need, that is where demand and supply comes in, and it's a basic necessity. You may run industries or not, you may give petrol 100 rupee or 200 rupee a liter, but water is a thing that you have to give it. And mostly, and rather entire country feel that water is a free commodity to them. If you tell me that if at your house, if I say that okay, you'll get a clearer water, you don't put a RO in your house, but whatever charges you are paying to RO vendor, you give it to me, but you'll not give it because you feel that from government it will come free. I'll see what I need to do with my water. It is not. It is actually it is this way, and same goes with water as sewerage. What happens that okay, we are liquid waste and solid waste. We are just dumping it like anything. We think that okay, this is my not. Well, I have taken a bath now. Let somebody decide that what is going to happen that with water. You know, so it's a very surprising. I mean, and so this is the water for the common man, whereas there is one or two more aspects with water. Water is very elaborate subject actually, and like whenever we put up an industry, example factory or manufacturing unit, first we need to understand what kind of effluent treatment plant we need to put in. That is a wastewater treatment, because there are green industries, red zone industries, lot of XYZ category industry which is polluting heavily the drains and the nearby nalas. So what happened that government said, okay, if you have to build this industry, you have to put a this kind of treatment plant. Sometimes that treatment plant operation cost is much higher than even a running plant. Sorry, existing manufacturing. So that manufacturing person thinks that okay, should I run this plant or should I put a manufacturing? How do I get the ROI of my investment? Basically, he's a businessman, he's into some manufacturing. Suddenly, if you now government is saying that okay, now you have to run a effluent treatment plant, which is even costlier than my existing manufacturing, then where should I go? So that is the another aspect. And then there are drip irrigation, desalination, wherever there is no water like Chennai and all, they have saline water. So water is a huge topic, drip irrigation. So there are a lot of things into it. But eventually there are two kind of things, water and wastewater.
So I watch this episode. I go out, I go take a bath. After taking the bath, the water enters the drain. Then where does it go? What happens?
That is also a very amazing thing that in India and everywhere else, we are actually being told by the government departments that okay, when you are building a house, you should have at least two, wastewater kind of a thing. One is the storm water where you need to recharge the earth, whereas second can be your wastewater, which can go directly to drain. But what we do is we mix that all the time and we waste that water. Whereas we should use that, whatever the rainwater which is being collected on our roofs and our houses, it should actually go to the directly to the earth and recharge it. Whereas whenever we take a bath or use water in the house, so eventually it goes to the drain goes to eventually main nala. That then nala has to go to the main river or whatever. But before that, generally all the organizations, government organizations, they have to block and treat it and then only let it go, because uh, there is a per se a rule from the your pollution control board that if your water is under this kind of parameter, then only you can give it to the river, otherwise not. So that is the reason actually why they have to create STPs. There is a river law kind of thing, drain laws.
So the plants that you are putting in, are they getting water to my house, or are they taking hot water away from my house into the rivers, or are you doing both? And is there a difference?
See, we are an engineering firm which is giving solutions to get you potable water or treat the wastewater, both. Basically, what has happened since recently, that if you understand, there are two things. One is Jal Jeevan Mission, which is happening. One is Namami Gange. Jal Jeevan Mission is from river or whatever the water source available nearby. I have to bring the pipelines. We have to do that water treatment plant. then water treatment plant to overhead reservoir, then overhead reservoir to every house. None say Jal. So this is the tagline of the Jal Jeevan Mission. Whereas when you talk about the Namami Gange is entirely about the sewerage side. So what they do is they take care of the all the running plants. That is the A part. Then they connect the sewer pipeline. All the sewer, they are making all the sewer network operational. They're constructing any new sewer line if necessary, and then eventually they are treating that, and then they are discharging with required nominal parameters. So this is what is. So these are the two parts that we are doing both.
There's this discussion about energy, and the discussion is, should you switch off your light, or should we just figure out better ways to get electricity so that you can just leave your light on for the rest of time? Do you think it is important to save water, or do you think we need to come up with better ways of filtration of water so that water usage becomes a non-topic of discussion?
It depends, actually. It depends. It's a very critical thing what you have asked. No, it depends. See, when I talk about India and rest of the world in two parts. Right? India is A, rest of the world is second. See, in India, this is obviously this is what you have asked. It is a very subjective thing. I am telling you my personal view that water scarcity is there in India. There is no doubt. But that scarcity is not because of the water unavailability. It is because of two reasons. One, we are wasting heavily. Secondly, the pace how population is increasing, our infrastructure cannot grow like in that same pace. If you see about the demand supply for water in India, it's huge gap. There are a huge gap. Even in Delhi, you will find there are a lot of places. Delhi, talk about Delhi, which is the center of the complete India, center of the world. There are few places where still tankers are going to make the people feed with water. So I mean, so that ways it is very very difficult. But yeah, but the same person who is in India, if he'll go to Canada, US, Australia, he'll drink responsibly. He'll not waste it. He'll not spill it. There are a lot of changes will happen. So it is more like this is the reason why I like personally what actually Narendra Modi ji did in specific, Swachh Bharat and that. It is more like awareness. And when the most prominent person of the country is, saying it again and again, Swachh Bharat, Swachh Bharat, Swachh Bharat, at least the follower and some non-follower both are, at least trying to do it. So that kind of inspiration is needed. It's not about just political. Maybe your celebrities can also do it. In a house, your dad is your hero, your mom is a hero. So I have to tell my kids that okay, you do it this way, that way. So I mean that ways every superior has to tell their kids or employees or friends or colleagues that let us not do that. So I mean that is how I think wastage is more important. But yeah, but I mean water scarcity in India is only because of two reasons: wastage and infrastructure. I would say the pace of infrastructure is too less than pace of population. So it's a very, very difficult way to answer that, if I can just keep a tap on. But yes, sorry. I forgot to tell you one example. There is a very peculiar case study. When you talk about overseas, Europe and US, you said that there is a water which is coming 24/7. You're right. Whenever you turn off a tap, whereas in India, there is a habit of pumping it to the overhead tank and then use it wherever they are required. I'll tell you a simple fact. When you use 24/7 water, your water demand is lower than when you use it in overhead tanks. I'm making a project for that also in Delhi only. But what happens, example, we are putting up a project in Delhi. Very in a small time we'll be doing that. So that project for us, project is we are preparing a tender contract. So somebody is going to implement. So in that, what we were studying that okay, there is a water requirement X which is people need it. Whereas if I'm giving 24/7, what will happen that people first of all for first few years people will not start believing it. People will say that government is lying. Today water will come, tomorrow it will not come. So I'll, keep my overhead tank also loaded, but I'll use it from 24/7 tap. I'll use from the tap, but I'll use it. I'll keep my overhead tank also loaded. Next day, what he'll do, he'll spill off all the water from the overhead tank. He'll reload it, but he'll still use the 24. So the water demand rises for first few years because people do not believe you. But once people start believing you that the was stored there, so it is not now stored. So they start. So this is happening in US, and that is why water requirement per person is lesser than Indian standard.
I think it is a very, there's this discussion about weed and there's this discussion about addictive drugs, right? When they are not legal in a country, their use is higher than when they are actually legal in a country. So somehow when you have excess ability to gain access to these things, you generally don't use them, which is very funny. Like even in this case scenario.
I also have a kind of a theory on that. I mean, it is fine, but it is only correct. It is only correct when you have a literate people do, or the people who have some kind of level of understanding. See, India is a already very deprived country. We are, we are privileged. We are not. We don't. We say that okay, my life is this that. No, nothing like this. People are 80% people who, when you go out in the car, you see that they are deprived actually. They are not even underprivileged. So they just, they'll just jump on each and everything, whatever comes for free or legal, and they'll, it's going to destroy them. You need to have some kind of maturity to understand the thing. That is what happened. That is why our parents say that, okay, when you are 18, then only we'll give you car. That doesn't mean that in 15 you cannot drive it, because you'll not have that maturity to handle it. So that is the difference between India and other countries using weed illegally or not.
I was referring to Canada, but it is very understandable. I think there is plenty validity to your argument.
So when we speak about 27-hour, 24/7 water, and when we speak about, as you said, pumping and things like that, the other thing that comes to mind is why in some countries do you have tap water that is drinkable, whereas in India you say you have to install your RO and these kind of filters and things like that.
Actually, that is also a kind of a situation when water comes out of a water treatment plant, it is generally drinkable, very much drinkable. It's not like that. See, in India, we are not just fighting for water treatment. We are fighting with the infrastructure. We are fighting with the all kind of people who are living privileged, unprivileged, underprivileged. Why I'm saying this? Because if you've seen that these pipeline go through, the some those kind of areas where people are living illegally as well. What happened that they puncture it for their use. There are a lot of I don't want to use those kind of words, but there are a lot of things which happen on that way, which is not correct. And sometimes it also happens because of the permission of the government officials as well, because they have some pressure, political pressure. Okay, I due to give water to this, so they puncture it and they supply water to X place. They puncture it to. So once it is reaching to your house, the properties of water changes from X place to Y. So this is happening. It is not like that water treatment plant are not working. They are working. Most of that, it is not even I'll not say that X company is good, one or Y is bad. All companies are more and more so not maybe not miraculously equal, but they are doing some good job. It's not like that. Some monitoring, better monitoring is required definitely, and government is working. Each and every government is working because see, I'll tell you, this is such kind of a matter that frankly government can fall. You know it is a very sensitive matter. Water is a very sensitive issue. It's a politically driven issue. Water has to be supplied where the maximum vote bank is. Water is a issue where if water is not having, so it's there's a lot of pressure is there when you talk about these kind of water thing. Any city rather, or maybe world rather. It's a very politically sensitive issue.
You switched from a very asset heavy company when you wanted to implement your own project to a very asset light company when you are now a consultancy where the money comes from elsewhere and implementation comes from elsewhere. How was that transition for you? How was the transition into consulting from actually implementing? Of course, there were like jobs in the middle, which we can also talk about, but it's fascinating to think, right? And which one do you think has been a better experience for you?
Uh, First of all, I think consulting is a better way. It may be because sometimes whatever happens for good actually. See, when I was in construction business, whenever I was in construction business, if I had to reach a if I had to reach a white collar job kind of a position of that kind of a contracting business, so it must be somewhere around 100 crore turnover. That is what the minimum threshold. Under that, you are still that owner is the only person who is a project manager. In construction, 40-50 turnover reaches like this, but you need that kind of money as well. I frankly was not able to arrange those kind of funds. So I was still stuck in 10-15 CR, and I was dealing with from lowest most ground zero people, from the laborers till the some bureaucrats, because I was meeting everybody. I was the owner of organization. I had to see that my site is working. I was experienced beforehand working in a good organization. So I used to speak well. I used to do work in a better way with I'm compared to any normal contractor or ठेकेदार kind of a person. So they used to appreciate me in that sense. So I was able to meet everybody. But it's not like that I was not liking it, but I always used to think that I'm not meant to, you know, go at site and lure a XYZ person to do more work and 50 rupee, 100 rupee. It's not like 50 or 100 rupee or small work is big work. It is more like I am not justifying my capacity. So this was the logical reason what I was saying. Whereas when I came to consulting, so it is more like it is more white collar job. It is much more pressurizing, but still it is still white collar job. At least you are now talking sense, talking logic to the people, talking to some good reputed or high mind, logical people, literate people rather. I would say that okay, buddy, this is the work, this need to be done. So if I'm telling something, so sometimes many times it give me reward as well. So I think that is why the consulting seems better. And just when you said asset wise, now rather things has changed. Earlier I used to deal into maybe 100 crore, 50 crore whenever I was doing business. So this was my bracket of putting a budget. Whereas I tell you right now, the consultant is being judged by that what kind of tenders he is preparing. So right now we are somewhere around doing 25,000 crore of tenders which we are preparing. So that's a huge. So we need. I mean, right now we are doing in numbers. So when we are maybe we must be in one top 1 or 2%, right?
What do economics look like for you? When you say this 25,000 crore number, it is a huge number. So what do economics look for you as the founder and you as the company?
As a consultant, we still go slow. I mean, on the economics part, it is not like the 20,000 crore mean that it is all coming into my pocket. It is maybe we are just 0.01% or 1% fees that is being paid to us. But more importantly, is that now you are in a segment, at least you are in that kind of set of people where you're into deciding authorities for these kind of projects, where you are now building those kind of contracts. Now you are evaluating their bids. So this is also a pride which comes into you, because I tell you, see, we have around 30, 40 people, 40 people around we have who are on permanent role. And when they go into any office, they always tell me that now we have a different kind of respect which we get. It is not because the kind of project, it is why because projects, we get projects because we deliver our responsibility in time. It is not like it happens that, okay, we have submitted a bid and we are getting projects and people are respecting us. Never happens like this. In our organization, as on date, most of the client has given us repeat orders. So that is where charm and happiness comes in. So economics wise, yes, what is happening since few years now, the contract values have increased tremendously. Earlier, you can say, as in economic wise, just 10 years back, the biggest water treatment company used to have a turnover of around 250 crores, 200 crores. Right now, when you talk about them, they are around 4,000, 5,000, 8,000 crores. Earlier, the biggest contract value used to have just 10 years, the transition I'm telling you. Earlier, the biggest contract value used to be somewhere around 200, 150 crore, 180, 300 was the maximum size. Treatment side, I'm telling you. Now, when you talk about those similar kind of project, now they are into 100 crore, 1,000 crore, 800 crore, 1,500 crore. So, the transition overall, that money infused is high, and eventually that, I think consulting will also grow, because in these kind of large projects, lot of specialty is coming. Like I told you, when I became, I worked as a Namami Gange first project. So it was on PPP project. So there are very, very few people in India who are having a PPP knowledge. So we are one of it. So that giving is edge.
What is PPP?
A public-private partnership. Because when you talk about roads or highways across the world, projects are built on build, operate, transfer. So basically, a contractor comes in, he puts in his own money, and he puts a toll, and he recovers money, and he go back. So Indian government also tried the same thing in the water business, but in water there is nobody. See, same thing I told you. Nobody is going to give you money. If a contractor gives you a bill to the every household, that okay, in earlier days you used to give me 500 rupees. Now give me 5,000 because I'm giving you good water. Nobody is going to. Rather, there were so many protests which happened. So government came with a hybrid annuity model kind of a thing, that okay, partial you give, partial I give, and I'll give you the fixed installment afterwards. You need not take it from the people. So that kind of situation.
Why the change? Why such a huge boost within a decade? Like the numbers you talked about are like the growth is tremendous. And you still say infrastructure is not growing fast enough, because you say infrastructure is nowhere close to the growth required. So why do you think that blast?
Actually, what happened that earlier there were two different components there were two parallel economies which were running in India. One was the treatment side. We kept on constructing treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants. And in wastewater treatment plant example, it is made on 100 MLD kind of a situation, million liter per day capacity. But it was running on 50 only, 35 only. Why? There was no sewer network. If sewer network will be there, they used to predict the population and they used to build a wastewater treatment plant, but there was no wastewater coming into it. When you're talking about the water treatment plant, they used to make it for 100 or 200 MLD, but water being supplied is little lesser than that. So that now they are blending the infrastructure as well. So that is why mostly the project value has gone up, and eventually, obviously, number of project is also gone up. It is more about the funding now because of the PPP, as Vishnu also asked. Like, you know, as you as you grow in this sense, that funding availability is easier now. Like contractors are also participating in constructing. So eventually, that funding is being also boosted by external agency arranged by the government and the contractors' money.
So basically, I think what you're saying is that there was the people who were there was the water treatment plant, but getting the water into the water treatment plant and out of the water treatment plant into the homes of the people, and then from the homes of the people to the the disposal and the treatment of that. So that the middle network was what was missing, even though like point A, point B, point C was there.
It's still missing. It's still in the. That is what. See, constructing a plant is easier. It is a battery limit. It's a domain that, okay, I'll give you a boundary volume, make it. But you creating an infrastructure is tough, very tough.
It's a more time consuming process. I can vouch for it. For I mean, the road in front of my house right now is under construction because they're doing some piping work, and it's been such an inconvenience because it's taken about a month or so, and I think they're just changing some basic pipes and stuff like that. So I can just imagine that if in a section of maybe 500 meters of road that they are changing this piece of piping, if there's so much inconvenience caused for just this small chunk of road, imagine the kind of infrastructure that's required throughout the country and the kind of time and the way it might inconvenience people. So it's a massive undertaking.
It's common practice for a lot of businesses to practice corruption in water treatment, and water treatment being like a very specific problem, which is like a target of corruption, where the inspector might not be at par as to what was expected from them. Do you think that problem still prevails, and do you think there's a better solution to that kind of a problem?
And is that problem due to a lack of transparency? Because today, if you asked me what is the level of water treatment that happens in India, like me being a regular layperson who's not involved in the industry would have no idea. So is that why there is scope for such things? Or what is the whole? Yeah.
I think it used to happen, but now there are a lot of automation and monitoring system has been developed. So it should not be as much. I can't comment on that. But yes, definitely there are a lot of automation system. There are a lot of remote monitoring system which has been already in the place in the treatment plant. Now it is running much better than earlier. But earlier also, see, I directly cannot say that corruption was there, but obviously it is more like how well you are preparing a plant, how well you are constructing. It is depends on the your construction stage itself. It is not about it is corruption doesn't happen on that time. It is more like how well that plant is being designed, because these are like all automated machines. It is like if once it is done, so it is done. It is not like somebody can turn it off or somebody can change the things in between.
So, Manish, I've watched this episode. I am inspired, totally inspired. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And water is a huge opportunity, and India needs it, right? It is a necessity. I want to be Manish. I want to become Manish. I want to be BMRV. What do I need? What do I do? Where do I start?
No, anything like that, you can be BMRV anytime. See, in our organization, see, there is one great thing which I ask always myself. That, why I wanted to start a business and why, what is the difference between us and others? I would say rather. See, when I started my own work, so I started with a basic few questions to myself. Why do somebody wants to change the job? First, he may be not liking his boss. That is the first thing. Second, he says a better opportunity. Third, he says, okay, I want this increment. And I think these are the only three questions, because These are the only 3-4 questions which comes to anybody's mind. So when we started our organization and till date, we follow few simple policy. Like I say that there are no rules. Like HR prepare rules and implement it. You break rules whenever you want. So this is how I lived my life. So you will have to break rule in this organization also, but only if you're thinking that you can be successful in achieving your goals, whatever the task you want to. Secondly, everybody is given a quite good amount of responsibility that nobody can come and say that, okay, I don't have a project in hand or I don't have a good work in my hand. And these are not repetitive jobs, whatever we have. See, as we discussed, we got Jammu. Right now we are working in more than 7 to 8 states, and we are having almost 100 plus assignments right now. And it is more than anybody can actually think and chew off. Means there are a lot of projects which are world biggest. The Delhi's biggest 24/7 water supply is in the world biggest if you see quantum and the value wise. If I am doing a 19 million gallon per day, so that is somewhere around 450 or 400 MLDs desalination RO plants. So bigger than that, only UAE has one plant. I don't know, in Middle East somewhere. Nowhere you will find it. So if you see quantum wise, now suddenly we have done one STP of 1500 MLD upgradation. So nobody have these kind of value or the quantum or the respectable or the huge technical projects. So team has good projects in hand. Team have freedom to do whatever they wish to. Now they are getting a freedom and access to the direct rooms of chief engineers, some IAS, some ministers. They are suddenly from nowhere. I wouldn't say nowhere, but they were into some organization. They were doing some work in somewhere, but now they're getting the presence. The presence is felt. So whenever you are getting that kind of respect and presence, feel good about it. Okay, this means that I've earned that thing. And third, the most important part, I said that you decide your own increments. So I don't need to, and whatever you decide, I'll give you. You don't even need to ask me. So, but you need to prove that. I'll never ask you to change or tell you that, okay, this kind of increment you need to have. There has to be no time limit, or there are people. I tell you, there was India Pakistan match, and suddenly someone came and said, India Pakistan match hai, what to do? I was like, let's start in the conference room. Then suddenly someone said, no sir, let's book a brewery nearby and we'll go, and let's shut the office today. So people do that. They are allowed to do whatever they wish to, but they have to be and feel like owners, and that is what it is. That I'm not your boss. I'm here to help you wherever you're stuck. See, we say that my company is kind of an platform where there are a lot of people. See, there are a lot of people in industry wherever you go. They say that I am of capacity, this thing, I am capable of doing this thing, but I'm not getting a platform. I'm not getting I'm not getting that kind of work. I'm not getting that of a salary, so I'm not getting that of push. So I am saying this is a platform. I'll get you projects. I'll get you money. I'll get you opportunities. Now you do it. Means show it to yourself. Don't show it to myself. See, I'll find eventually some other XYZ employee. But don't become an employee. Become a partner. Can you become a partner? Decide your own money. Decide your own fate. You become your own boss. So that is the kind of energy we share in our organization. And people are clear about it. If they are not on same pace, they can leave. And we don't tell anybody to leave. That is also a very amazing thing. We tell them that you're not performing, but I'll not tell you to leave. You have to perform or you have to leave yourself. So either you are in the race, you're in this fast track with us, or you're not. Decide yourself. You're here, that was your luck. Now be with us or not. I mean that has to be there. Otherwise, I don't want to become any regular organization. What is the fun of that?
Manish, what are, like today, as you said, the water industry is very small. So, what are the barriers to entry?
See what happens. I'll tell you. Example: there is a manufacturing unit of X thing, or there is a computer IT based organization, or there is another some organization. So you have some main niche of one segment. Okay, these kind of engineers are required, or this kind of skilled people are required. But if you see water industry, you need civil, mechanical, electrical, chemical, biotech, environment, and sometimes structure as well. So you need at least 7 to 8 or 9 kind of niche. You cannot be and these are also the engineering department who should have a relevant experience. Then only they can understand the business in this. Secondly, earlier when basically I joined this sector, freshers were not invited or not were not welcome into a big companies because they were very secretive or big or giant projects what they were doing. They were all the projects were very marquee projects with them, so they cannot take chances with it. So even it was like a kind of a platform that okay, I have to work 5 years in this company, then only I can enter this thing. So that were kind of the barriers earlier. Right now, obviously, barriers are less because the opportunities are increasing. The more the projects are increasing, but still, I would say there are a lot of still rather. I as if I example, I'm also recruiting people, but I say that at least you should have a basic knowledge of our business. You're not having some. It will be difficult to tell you and make you understand. Okay, what water does. It is little difficult. It is not just very. There are a lot of Infosys and Wipro and Accenture, they used to give 5 or 6 months of training and then used to be, okay, now you are given a project. It cannot happen in water industry. It is not simplified.
Manish, I think the kind of culture that you're building at your company, the kind of people you are trying to get into your company, the kind of person you are is completely reflected in your company. And, both Vishwat and I, we wish you best of luck for your journey. So, we have a tradition on our podcast. We ask the last guest to leave a question for you. And then we would like to ask you to leave a question for the next guest. So the last guest has asked you this question, and it becomes a very relevant question because you are very close to funding. Maybe not in the sense he asked, but very close to asking for money. Do you think people give you money based on your story, or do you think people give you money based on your project? In his case, project being the company that you built.
I think people give you money based on your story because your company is a product of your story. If you are there, you can create multiple products, outcomes. It is, I should not say it, but you somehow it is. I found it little relevant. BMRV came out of, hard work of P and XYZ, but it is not like that first BMRV was there and then I came in. So I think so. Or maybe same goes for other entrepreneurs as well. Because of their story, hard work, the line of thought, that is why that organization is being built. So that they don't see they see the passion, they any investor would like to see the kind of involvement one individual having with his organization. Any financing person would be looking at, okay, this is kind of a character of this guy, this is how he's building this organization, this is the product of his thought. So that would be the rather right way of judging. This is what I think.